Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If we haven't met, I'm Rachel. When most people think of self-care, I think they picture something relaxing. Maybe it's a hot bath with candles. Maybe it's zoning out on the couch after a long day. Maybe it's escaping into a hobby or just shutting the world off for a bit. That's what I used to think self-care was too, until life taught me otherwise. Not too long ago, my idea of self-care was taking a nice long soak in a bubble bath with a candle lit on the edge of the tub and some relaxing music playing. Just soaking and relaxing. But yeah, that's not all self-care is, That is a moment of comfort. And don't get me wrong, those moments matter, especially if they bring you joy. But self-care, real self-care, is a whole different thing. Somewhere along the line, self-care got rebranded, commercialized. It became something you'd buy. We started confusing comfort with care. And listen, comfort has its place, especially in a world that constantly demands so much from us. But if we stop there, if that's where self-care begins and ends, we are missing the point. And if you're a guy who clicked on this thinking self-care isn't for you, stick around. You might just find it is one of the strongest things you can do for yourself. Because, let's be honest, there's this gender divide here. Women are sold the spa day fantasy. Men, if they even consider self-care, it's supposed to look like lifting weights or fixing stuff or disappearing into the garage with a project. And God forbid it involves anything emotional. Unfortunately, there's this stigma that if a man does anything reflective or emotional for his well-being, it's somehow soft or unnecessary. Self-care has been gendered and marketed into oblivion. But here's the thing. Real self-care does not care about gender. It's not soft and it's not macho. It's human and it's necessary, but it is not really any of those other things. For me, life threw a wrench in the bubble bath version of self-care, specifically a cancer diagnosis, or two, and everything I thought I knew about what it meant to truly take care of myself changed. True self-care, it's not always cozy or relaxing. It's not a face mask or a glass of wine. It's not a fishing or a golfing trip with the guys or even a family vacation. It's not something you can slap a label on and sell in a gift basket. Real self-care is actually kind of fierce. It's saying no, sometimes to people you love, and sometimes to yourself. It's walking away from things or people or patterns that drain you, even if you've been in them for so long they feel like home. It's going to bed early, even when your brain says just one more episode. It's turning off the noise, news, social media, group chats, when it stops serving you. It's choosing solitude over toxic company and integrity over being liked. It's recognizing when you're overwhelmed and turning off the phone or the computer. It's advocating for yourself, asking hard questions, having the uncomfortable conversations, looking at your own behavior and deciding what needs to change, not because you're trying to be some health guru, but because your health and your peace of mind actually matter. It's also losing the victim mentality. Real self-care means stopping the blame game, letting go of the need to constantly point fingers at what others did or didn't do, blaming anyone or everyone else for everything wrong in your life. Now, that doesn't mean dismissing harm or excusing bad behavior. It means recognizing when we're stuck in a loop of resentment or powerlessness and choosing to step out of it. While we cannot control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. That pause between the stimulus and the response, that is where your power is. Self-care isn't reacting from a place of hurt or habit. It's choosing your response from a place of clarity and strength. Because staying in that mindset will keep us small, angry, and unwell. Taking responsibility for your healing and your health is one of the most courageous acts of self-care there is. And it's about trusting yourself, really trusting in your own wisdom. You know more than you think you do, but we get in our own way. We second guess. We outsource our choices. We silence our intuition in favor of somebody else's approval. Getting out of your own way means listening to that inner voice, acting on it, and letting your own clarity lead the way. Real self-care is taking care of your body. It's going to the doctor, even when you'd rather ignore it. Scheduling that mammogram or the prostate exam or whatever checkup you've been avoiding because, let's be honest, none of us like being poked and prodded. It's advocating for yourself when they brush you off because we all know that sometimes they do that. It's also moving your body in ways that keep it strong, even if your joints creak, even if you're tired, even if you are not in the mood. Not to punish yourself, but to stay functional, to stay independent. You know, I was a massage therapist for over 2 decades. Not the spa kind with cucumber slices and scented oils, but the kind where we would dig in and find out what was really going on in the body. The kind that helped people move better, feel stronger, and actually understand what their body was trying to say. My client base was easily a 50-50 split between men and women because of the therapeutic massage that I did. So many of my male clients started coming reluctantly. Their wives or girlfriends or whoever made them, and they assumed it was going to be a waste of their time. But they continued to reschedule because of all the benefits. Funny story, I even had one couple who went through a divorce, and they argued over who got to keep me in the divorce. I had to assure them both that I would never discuss one with the other, and I promised to never schedule them on the same day. That is how important they felt taking care of themselves was. I never could have worked out of a spa because that was not the kind of massage I did. My goal for every client was literally to teach them how to take care of themselves because it's so important. I've said it before, I had a sign in my massage room that said, taking care of oneself is not selfish, it's practical. An empty vessel has nothing to offer. True self-care fills you up, not in a quick, feel-good way, but in a deep, sustaining way. It replenishes your energy, your resilience, and your capacity to show up for yourself and for other people. It gives you something real to draw from when life gets hard. It takes you from empty to whole. It's not a momentary fix or a quick comfort. It isn't about adding something external. It's about tapping into what already exists inside of you, nourishing what's been neglected, healing what's been wounded, and making space for you to thrive. It's an investment you make in yourself, declaring that your well-being, mind, body, and spirit is worthy of your time, energy, and care. So that brings me to the 7 pillars of self-care that I refer to, the ones recognized by places like the Optimum Health Institute and Boston University. First, there's the mental pillar, nurturing your thoughts and cognitive function. That can be journaling, reading, learning, mindfulness, or even goal setting. Then there's the emotional pillar, managing and expressing emotions in a healthy way. Gratitude, asking for help, being around people who lift you up. Then there's the physical pillar, moving your body, eating well, sleeping enough, and paying attention to what your body's actually telling you. Then there's environmental, creating surroundings that support your peace and your health, getting rid of clutter, creating beauty around you, and keeping your space functional and safe. Then spiritual, connecting to something greater, whether that's your faith, your purpose, your sense of wonder. This one is personal and it's different for everybody. Then this is where recreational comes in. Finding joy, having hobbies, playing, laughing, letting yourself be creative without needing to be productive. That could be fishing, hiking, working out, something, building something, gaming, playing guitar, whatever, doing something just for the enjoyment of it. Then there's social, spending time with people who make you feel like yourself, who see you and support you. Maybe it's a friend you can be real with, your partner, or even your dog. And that spiritual pillar, that leads us right into the wisdom traditions that understood fierce self-care long before it became trendy. The Stoics believed that we can't control what happens to us, only how we respond. Self-care for them was mastering your inner world so you could meet the outer world with strength and grace. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That is the essence of fierce self-care. Buddhist philosophy teaches us to practice non-attachment, not because we don't care, but because clinging leads to suffering. Fierce self-care here means observing your thoughts, creating space from your reactions, and remembering that peace and happiness are always an inside job. And in Taoism, the path of least resistance isn't laziness, it's wisdom. It's trusting the flow, listening to nature, and aligning with what is rather than always pushing against it. Fierce self-care is learning when to act and when to be still. All of these traditions, whether Stoic, Buddhist, Taoist, anything else, teach us that true self-care is about strength, discipline, self-awareness, and compassion. Not indulgence, not avoidance, and definitely not performative wellness. Sometimes self-care is saying no. Sometimes it's saying yes. Sometimes it's making yourself a real meal instead of eating pretzels and peanut butter on the couch in front of the TV and calling it dinner. But always, real self-care is about remembering that your well-being is your responsibility. Not because you have to hustle for it, but because you're worth it. And maybe that is the fiercest kind of self-care there is. Knowing that how we respond to life is where our real power lives. If you're still here, thanks for watching. I appreciate you. As always, take care of you, and I will see you the next time. Bye-bye.